Hello, it's Sonia here, The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today is Tuesday, and that means it's Tunisian Tuesday. And today we are going to be featuring a stitch pattern, and I am going to use this large hook again, this 9mm hook, or it's an M hook. And I'm using chunky yarn, or I think this would be like a number 6 yarn. I don't know the brand of it. And as you can see, I've already gotten started on row 1. So with this stitch pattern, you can chain any amount that you want. And I will show you a clip on how to get started with row 1. That is our setup row. And then the rest of the rows are the stitch pattern. Okay, so row 1 is our setup row in the second chain from our hook. I like to work in the back bump of my chain. I am going to pull up loops. Now you don't have to work in the back bump, that's just my preferred method. And if you've never done Tunisian crochet before, I do have a playlist that goes over the basics plus other stitch pattern tutorials and projects as well. So I'll place that link in the description box if you want to check that out. So Tunisian crochet is always worked in 2 parts. Each row is worked in 2 parts. So we are doing row 1, so the first part of row 1, called the forward pass, we are putting our stitches on our hook. And then the second part of row 1 will be called the return pass, where we will take the stitches off our hook and each part equals 1 row. Okay, so I have my loops on my hook, and the amount that I chained will be the amount that is on my hook. So I have 17 loops because I chained 17. So let's work the second part of row 1. We're going to yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 for the rest of the row. Okay, so there we go. There is row 1. And I really like this stitch pattern. I think it's really pretty, and it's only a 2-row repeat. So for row 2, we're going to work Tunisian knit all the way across. So there's this vertical bar. If you spread it apart, it looks like a chain. You're just inserting your hook through the chain all the way across. And again, if you're not familiar with the knit stitch, I do have that in the playlist to help you get started. Alright, and then we just work in that stitch that looks like a chain in the end. And there is row 2. We just do our return pass, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. Alright, so now we're going to work row 3. So we're going to do a Tunisian purl all the way across, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. So normally when you're working your Tunisian purl stitch, you're just working in the vertical bar like that. But we are going to be working in around the entire stitch. So here's the vertical bar. If we spread it apart, you can see there's like a bar behind. So we're going to insert our hook into the space next to the bar all the way around. So it's kind of like a post stitch in a way, like if you're familiar with regular crochet. So here's the next one. We're just going to go all the way around there. So you're going to have your yarn in front. So you're still working this purl stitch the same, but we're just working around both of the bars like that, and then you just continue to work the purl stitch, and we do that all the way across. So in front, so in the space, and then in the space next to the bar, and then finish up the stitch. So in that space like that. So don't overthink. It's really it's just a regular Tunisian purl stitch, but we're just working around both of those bars. So if you're kind of worried about the bars, just go into the space, So we just completed the stitch. So you can see here's this space right where my fingers are. So you'll insert your hook into that space, and then in this space, bring it back around like that. And actually you want to have your yarn in front like a regular purl stitch. So now you go in the space and then in the other space and then finish up the stitch. And we just keep going all the way across. And then that last stitch, so here it looks like a chain, just insert your hook through there. Then you just work your return pass like normal, yarn over pull through 1, yarn over pull through 2 for the rest of the row. So what you want to do is you're going to be repeating rows 2 and 3 for the stitch pattern. So your next row, for row 4, you're just working Tunisian knit all the way across. So it's a rather simple one. It's Tunisian knit, Tunisian purl. But the only difference is you're working the purl stitch a little bit differently, and then it just really creates a pretty fabric. So I love these simple stitch patterns that just result in something really pretty. So I'm going to go work a few more rows so you can see it. So you can't really see it right now. Once you have a couple rows in, then it really starts to pop out. All right, so I will meet you back. All right, so here is my swatch before binding off. I ended up working 13 rows, so now you can really see how pretty this stitch pattern is. And again, it's just a basic purl and knit stitch, but just doing a slight variation with the purl, and it just really creates a pretty fabric, I think. So we're going to bind off now. So we're just going to bind off in regular Tunisian, simple all the way across. So in that first vertical bar, working our bind off, it's just finishing off our work. Now if you're not familiar with binding off, it is a combination of Tunisian crochet and regular crochet. So we are doing Tunisian simple stitch, but finishing it off with a regular slip stitch that is in regular crochet. So we're just doing this all the way across. And on our last stitch there, don't want to forget that one. All right, so there we go. So there it is. So I made another swatch using just worsted weight yarn and an H hook, and I still work the same amount of rows. So you can definitely see the difference with the different hook sizes, how much larger this swatch is. But it's a very pretty fabric, and if you're thinking that it won't look different using just regular Tunisian purl and knit stitch, you would be wrong. So I made another swatch actually just doing Tunisian knit, Tunisian purl. So you can definitely see the difference here, where when you do it with when you're doing it around the entire stitch, you can really see the definition of the knit stitch here versus this one. This is still a very nice stitch pattern, but there's just a slight difference in between here compared to this one. Like I said, I think it's fun to just play around with a basic stitch and just, you know, tweak it a little bit, do something a little bit different to just result in a slightly different fabric. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.